Hey everybody, how's it going? It is I, Mario Mijares, the Salsa Shaman, aka the Blu-ray Bodhisattva. I am doing something a little bit different today. Gonna make a little recording outside here. It's a beautiful day on my deck. I just spent the last couple of hours doing some working on this landscaping project that I've been chipping away at for 2 months, about 2 months. It's a one-man show with just old school pickaxe and shovel. I did just get a cheap little electric tiller, so that's kind of helping in some areas. But you know, that's kind of what I've been doing to keep myself busy at this time. So there's an infinite amount of things that I always want to talk about, an infinite amount of things that I can talk about, especially when it comes to the astrology. So I'm just going to flow in what comes first and share with you all. The first thing that's coming to mind is Neptune retrograding back into Pisces at 29 degrees. This just happened within the last 24 hours, I believe. Neptune retrograding into Pisces is a big deal. Since 2012, Neptune has been transiting Pisces, okay? So I want you guys to think back all the way in 2012, what sort of things were going on in your life, what sort of intentions you made, you know, all the different intentions and beliefs and ideas you thought your future was going to be now. Think back think back in 2012 and what you were trying to become and the paths you were choosing to take, and all the different unforeseeable shifts and changes that happened for you. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're listening to this video. As you may know, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. There are 12 signs of the zodiac, and Pisces is the last. Pisces is a mutable water sign. If you don't know what a mutable sign is, there are three types of expressions, modalities, and they go cardinals, fixed, and mutables, okay? And the cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. And the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. And the mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sag, Pisces. Best way I'm going to explain these three different types of expressions is through the seasons. The cardinals are the beginning of the seasons. They are the turning of wheels. Cardinal Aries initiates the spring equinox, Cancer initiates the summer solstice, Libra initiates the fall equinox, and Capricorn initiates the winter solstice. So the cardinal signs, they initiate, they charge forward, they take action, they intend, they start things. The fixed signs, this is when we have a whole chunk of time being in one season. The middle of spring, the middle of summer, the middle of autumn, the middle of winter. It's usually the peak of the season. This is Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. These are the fixed signs. And then we have the changing of the season, that in between period when we can kind of see that we're coming to the end of summer and entering the beginning of fall, but it's not quite fall yet, but we can see the changes. The winds are picking up, colors are changing, the sun has switched positions. These are the mutable signs: Gemini, Virgo, Sag, Pisces. The fixed signs are adaptable, versatile, and magical in how things change. So Pisces is a mutable water sign. And water is known for its mystic, psychic qualities. In astrology, one of the ways to think of what we mean by water is the water being this psychic field that we feel through resonance and emotions and intentions, frequencies. This is all kind of, I like to think as water as the quantum field, the ocean of the quantum field, and all that emotional and intellectual energy that moves through it. Pisces is a very special sign, being that it's the last sign of the zodiac before we begin the cycle anew, going into Aries, the first sign. So Pisces represents endings, karmic endings. Pisces coming from the 12th house. This is deeply, this is energy that's deeply interwoven with the subconscious mind and our belief systems and our imagination. And what makes Pisces such a profound, special energy archetype in the zodiac is that it is an energy that'll bring all sorts of things up to the surface that are karmic and come from past lives, and it brings it all up to be experienced one last time for final integrations, final contract fulfillments, final cord severings, and just changing the karma, changing the reaction, changing the response, changing the agreements, revoking things. It's a very profound energy as the wind picks up. You know, it's Pisces is it's a very special type of energy. I can go on and on and on as to why it's so special. But Neptune is the ruler of the sign Pisces. Neptune in Greek mythology is Poseidon. And what Neptune governs in our mundane world, in our personal lives, is the subconscious mind, our imaginations, what we believe, spirituality, our multidimensionality, all things that are beyond the visible spectrum. Neptune and Pisces together also governed suffering and spirituality and religion, and what we align our beliefs with in regards to religion and our spirituality. In Pisces is where we experience transcendence. It's where we experience unity consciousness, feeling the connection with all things. And it can be a very overwhelming energy to open yourself up and experience the connectivity with all things. And with that connectivity comes feeling all spectrums, the grief, the sadness, the joy, the bliss, and all sorts of things in between that. And so, you know, reason why I'm bringing up the importance of Neptune retrograding back into Pisces is because this is the ending, the last hoorah for Neptune before officially beginning a brand new synodic cycle. And if you've never heard that term before, synodic cycle, it's an astrology term, and it basically means when a planet exits Pisces and enters Aries to begin a brand new cycle through all 12 signs. That's called the synodic cycle. And for a planet like Neptune, synodic cycles happen once every 165 years or so. So with Neptune having been in Pisces since 2012, all the way until this year, entered Aries, now retrograde, and is back into Pisces. Okay, so this is This is the tying off of what humanity has been experiencing with the 165-year cycle of Neptune's influence. Neptune's influence in our belief systems, and our spiritual practices, and our ability to feel connected with each other and the world and all things. So this is a big deal. So for the last 14 years, humanity has been dealing with Neptune going through this ending period in Pisces to begin a brand new cycle going into Aries. All right. The last time Neptune entered Aries 165 years ago, 18, I forget the years exactly, but this is when the Civil War started. Literally, not long after Neptune went into Aries, the Civil War kicked off shortly after Abraham Lincoln became president. So why would a civil war kick off with Neptune going into Aries? Okay, Aries is the warrior sign of the energy, the very of the zodiac. It's the very first sign of the zodiac. And as I mentioned before, cardinal energies, what do? They initiate. And Aries is cardinal fire ruled by the planet Mars. Mars being the god of war. Weapons, machinery, military action, the warriors fighting, dealing with conflict. But also Aries is a very raw, unrefined and immature energy that is very impulsive. And Neptune governs our belief systems. And when Neptune leaves Pisces and enters Aries, there is an agitation and an aggressiveness for groups and people to begin to fight and defend or enforce what they believe in. And what was one of the major issues that they teach us causing the Civil War? I mean, if you dig into some rabbit holes, you learn some other truths about what behind the cause of the Civil War. But we'll keep it really simple in this video. And this is obviously slavery, right? With Neptune going into Pisces, okay, before Neptune goes into Aries, Neptune being in Pisces, it is a gradual process where we become to be more raw and sensitive and compassionate, especially to when it comes to witnessing suffering, other people suffering. And so during that Pisces transit, I'd imagine that it was a period where a lot of people seeing what they have been doing at that time in regards to slavery, like, wow, this is actually really horrific. This is actually really bad that we are treating these fellow humans like this. Why? And then going into Aries, there's that Pisces transit was beginning to pose the question, should we free the slaves? Aren't blacks just as equal as we are? Should we free the slaves? And war, right? No, like, we're not changing that. It is our right. And it's like, no, but I believe that we should free them. So it begins this war, this conflict, and people trying to defend and fight for what they believe in. So if you haven't known already, I think it was this year, maybe it was last year, I'm pretty sure it was this year, but this movie came out called Civil War. Okay, so it's no coincidence that in the time where Neptune is entering Aries, that Hollywood produces a major film called Civil War, and it is about civil war taking place in our current day and age of people fighting. I haven't seen the movie. I saw one little commercial clip. There was good old boys and guns and a family running, I don't know from what, but they get captured, and one of the guys with guns says, like, after he asks him a question and the family says we're American, and he's like, what kind of American? Posing that question, like, yeah, what kind of American? Liberal American, Mexican American, Republican American, Christian American, Muslim American. Like, I don't know what went on with the movie, but it's like, we have been going through a major crisis around the world, with humanity being really confused in what they believe in this day and age. There's a there has been a huge increase in people in our modern age that don't really have a spiritual practice, that don't really have a connection with God or sectors of religion, for many of different reasons, and a huge part of those reasons is because of history, right? Um, People think about crusades, colonization, and all of the different things that humanity has done in the name of religion, whether it's Christian religions, Muslim religions, Jewish religions, and whatever the case. All we've gone through actual millennia of spiritual warfare, and people have a memory of so much trauma over the years through their genetics. And so with this day and age, one of the, and in our current modern time as a civilization, the biggest contributing factor that has brought us to the point of the identity crisis we're experiencing right now was the Industrial Revolution. Because during the Industrial Revolution, basically the Western world, the West had conquered the world and colonizing it, and nothing was magical anymore. Conquered all the places, taken all their languages, governments, things. It changed everything. No more villages, no more tribes, no more language, no more traditions. Majority of the world's on the, a converted Christian. They have been, what do they call that? Reformed. Things that they've done to the Indians and Native Americans and all sorts of those. You know what I'm saying. So the Industrial Revolution was a period where cities were being built, major cities were being built, and people needed to feed their families. So this is when families began moving to cities and working in, major manufacturing corporations, steel, coal, making roads, bridges, skyscrapers, clothes, all sorts of things. This is where majority of Americans went to work, and then that created new cultures. This wasn't just Americans. These were other countries. This created new cultures, and there began to become a separation between from our memories of being in tribes. And I don't mean just tribes as like tribes are our tribes around the world, our clans and our tribes, whether you were from Europe, South America, or whatever. We all had our unique traditions, we had our unique languages, our unique rites of passage. And during this time of the Industrial Revolution, it changed a lot. People began wearing all the same clothes. They all had common names. They all got up and went to work, and they were not special. They were not different. And this is when the culture started to, our modern culture started to get created, where mass people were sort of conditioned and programmed to follow trends. So anyways, all that to say that over the generations since this whole industrial modern day revolution of building the world we have now, everyone's really confused in their point, how they view themselves in the world, of who they are. And we got a lot of strange things that people believe in at this time. So with Neptune being in this dance between closing off his chapter in Pisces and going into Aries, there will be an increase in intensity of people fighting for what they believe in, and whether this could be believing that yeah, my God, there's a lot of fucking crazy things people believe in right now. We can talk about the Muslims believing what they believe in the Quran and Muhammad and the things that they have been planning and what they're initiating. We can talk about gender ideologies and what they've been doing to diminish self-esteem, self-love, and attacking the heart of the children, confusing them, all for profits, and the people that really do believe in the ideologies that they are subscribing to, people who believe in climate change, all these different things, and even more fucked up shit. People who believe that it is okay, to be an MAP. And if you don't know what an MAP is, I'm not even gonna speak it. Fuck that shit. Wood chipper, toss them. No. Hawk agrees. Yeah, no. So, and people are beginning to fight for these beliefs. They're beginning to not care anymore and actually come out. Look up this man, I forget his name, but look up this man who is running to be mayor of New York. Okay, what this guy does not fucking give a fuck anymore, doesn't have any more shame about being a chimo, and think that it is his right, it should be accepted, and he wants to run for mayor, and he's just crazy in the shit that he's coming out and saying it, and he doesn't give a fuck anymore, and he's like super raw about it. And you and I are like, fuck this guy, let's get him, right? But here's the thing you have to also understand is that there are hundreds, thousands of people who are going to feel the same way that man feels and agree. So, with the power of the internet, people who think and believe and perceive in all sorts of weird ways are going to begin to have that fight, to want to take action, to want to initiate, to stand for what they believe in. Okay, but this is also the same for really positive things, right? Believing in ascension, believing in the aliens, believing in Christ, believing in yourself, believing that though things are really fucked up, we are on the winning trajectory in saving and redeeming humanity. So this is another belief that we have to fight for. And so it's important to understand that as Neptune is doing this dance and people are getting ready to say fuck it and actually take action, fighting the things that they believe, they're already burning churches. They're already burning churches and killing Christians and doing all kinds. They're already fighting because they don't give a fuck anymore. Because they know that most people have become docile. Most people have become docile. You've seen the videos of public experiments and how people react. Have you ever seen any of those public experiment videos where there's a child walking by himself and a man's picking them up, and there's a secret camera that's viewing the whole thing, and the child's screaming and the man's picking up this kid and running away with it, and no one fucking does nothing? There are several clipses of these people doing this experiment in cities where there's tons of people, and all those clips, not a single fucking person does anything. Okay, so this is where most people are at right now, is that things will happen, and they either don't know what to do or choose to ignore it, or are afraid, or are afraid. They don't know if that person has a gun, I might die, and all this sorts of stuff, and la da 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 da. So whatever it is that you might be afraid of, in the face of this shit that's going on, and I've been saying this for years, okay? I've been saying this for years. We're moving into the time now where it is very important for the spiritual light warriors to really rise and not be afraid to do what is necessary, to do what we are guided to do in the name of the highest order of love and light. Okay, this means we have to work together. This means we have to overcome ourselves, overcome our fears, and transform and becoming better people, because this is it. This is it. So with Neptune going back into Pisces, we're going back into the waters here. We've had a taste of Neptune and Aries for the last several months, this whole summer, okay? And with Neptune going back into Aries, Pisces, and Saturn in Pisces, okay? We have a few months of them being back in this Pisces energy until next year, January and February. Both Saturn and Neptune re-enter Aries, and then they're in Aries for a full Aries transit. No, they're not retrograding back into Cancer. Yeah, so Pisces, water, this is yin energy, feminine energy, and yin energy is also dark. You know, yang energy is light, and by dark I don't mean like evil per se, but it is going inward into the dark, into the recesses. And what part of what has made this year so fucking intense is at the beginning of the year, when the North Node first entered Pisces, we went for several days, weeks, about a couple months at the start of the year with Neptune, Saturn, and the North Node in Pisces conjunct, and then we had Venus transit through there, we had Mars transit through there, we had Mercury transit through there, the Sun transit through there. And then the new moon and the full moons with that stellium of the North Node, Neptune, and Saturn in Pisces, okay? I wrote a really long article about this in January of 2025. I'll be right back. Yeah, I wrote a really long article about this back in 2025. Okay. Neptune completing a cycle in Pisces is one thing. To complete this cycle with Saturn at the same time, that's another thing. So this is a whole other layer of what we're going through right now in terms of Neptune and closing out cycles. For Saturn, it takes 30 years to go through the whole zodiac. So we're completing a 165-year Neptune cycle, and we're completing a 30-year Saturn cycle right now. This is huge. And then for the North Node to be there and commune with Saturn and Neptune all together, this is ultra, triple, quadruple, extremely rare, all right? And that article I wrote explains that the last time we had that lineup of Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node in Pisces was several hundred years ago during the mid-1500s, okay? The mid-1500s. And then the time before that was 800 years ago in the 1200s, okay? In the fucking 1200s, all right? Those are the last two cycles where we had those three meet up, all right? And this is huge, 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 huge. I don't want to repeat too much of what I've already written and what I've already said in other videos. So if you want to know, go and find that article that I wrote on my Patreon. I'll include that in the link of this video. But what I will say is 800 years ago, one of the last times we had Neptune, Saturn, and the North Node together is when the Fourth Crusades initiated. And then, so that we had an army of crusades from Rome had and invaded Egypt, and from Egypt they moved to all the way to Jerusalem with the intention of eradicating as many Muslims, all Muslims as they can, and to take over. And so there were many things that were happening during that time. And I think that was also the same time when the Peasant War was happening. That might have been the 1500s. But if you don't know what the Peasant War is, you should look that up. So what else was happening during the 1200s, 800 years ago? Well, this is when also when the first Incan emperor came about, okay? So two whole worlds, right? Before they have ever made contact and known each other. On one end, the world, we had the Crusades, these intense spiritual wars that were going on for hundreds of years, okay? And those Crusades were a response to Islamic takeover of Christian nations, Christian countries from several hundred years. So the Crusades happened as a response of Muslim violence and Muslim takeover hundreds, thousands of years ago, okay? And so this was the Fourth Crusades that initiated during that time. I forget the name of the Pope that initiated it and signed off on that. And it led to the fall of the Byzantine Empire, which is the second fall of Rome. So much to learn and study there just from that time. And then over, on the other side of the world in South America, the Incan Empire was just beginning to form, okay? This was the rise of the first Incan emperor and the beginning of the building of Cusco, the largest city of the Incan Empire at that time. I forget who the name of the emperor was, but this is when for the Incans, when their spiritual practice was coming into form, the things that they believed in, the different deities and the rituals and the systems, this is when it created that dream, that vision for their civilization. Huge things. So we have these topics of spirituality, what we believe in, what we want to fight for. And if you don't know, the Crusades went on for hundreds of years. There were several different rounds of Crusades, okay? Then in the mid 1500s, I think like the 1520s, that was another time where we had Saturn, Neptune, and the North Node and Pisces together, okay? And during that time, that's when we went through the Peasant War. And if you know what the Peasant War is, there was like 1,000 or so German peasants that were just killed because they were deciding to stand up and demand human rights for the work and their level of society that they played in. And so the wealthy, the elite families at that time, instead of working with them and trying to give them what they were asking for, they're like, we need to make an example, just kill all these fucking peasants, all right? And this is another big Piscean theme that we've been going through for the last few millennia. And the theme is of suffering, of being displaced for spiritual warfare, the sacrifices. Pisces is also sacrifice, and also martyr energy, martyrdom and sacrifice. This is the things that we've been going through. And so like these peasants, we're living through a time of extreme poverty while these other people get to live in luxury and in royalty, and their lives fucking suck. And when they tried to do something about it, they were just fucking massacred by the thousands. All right, that's fucked up shit, And so these are things that, you know, in the survivors, the memories and the suffering of all these different things, they're still within all of us. They're still within our DNA. Okay. And I'll say again, during that 1500s, okay, remember in the 1200s, it was the beginning of the Inca Empire, right? The first Incan emperor was elected, and they began to build the city Cusco. And so then from the 1200s to the 1500s, in the span of 300 years, okay, that is when, I forget the name of the man, but that's when the man from Spain, you know, the Spanish conquistador, discovered the lands of the Incan Empire, thus beginning the downfall, the fall and the genocide of the Incan Empire. That was the beginning of those civilizations falling, and, you know, the Latin American, the Mesoamerican world collapsing, from Peru to Brazil to Guatemala to Mexico to the Americas to Canada and Alaska, that whole, you know, Turtle Island of indigenous people, right? That was the beginning of that, right? And another, you know, that was a whole cycle, a whole civilization created, you know, during that time span of 300 years, and then it just collapsed during this kind of cycles we're experiencing right now. Okay, so that Neptune, Saturn, Pisces alignment is happening again right now. It's been 500 years since the last time. About 500 years since the fucking last time. Wow. So, and we're seeing the collapse of our civilizations as we remember them now, and we're heading into the future, with AI technology, corporations, banks, the energies developing in space colonization, things of that nature. This is the next, you know, wave where our current civilization structures are collapsing. Okay, we may be going towards times of there maybe not being a voting system anymore, a change in our democratic systems, a change in the world in major ways, a change in borders between Mexico and Canada, you know. So there's no coincidence that in the time right now, we're hearing talks of like buying Greenland, merging Canada with America, merging Mexico, you know, with America, and changing borders, and all these types of things going on here. So we might actually be moving towards major global governmental societal changes that we would have never thought we'd see in our lifetime. Okay, so part of what we are experiencing, have been experiencing with this Neptune energy is the currents of memories in the parallels of what our ancestors had gone through dealing with this long cycle of the Piscean age. Okay, I see this year as the official closing out of the Piscean age. Like, this is the massive hallmark. This is the epilogue. Is the epilogue first, or yeah, the epilogue is at the end. Ah, fuck, now I sound like a retard. Anyways, this is the ending, official ending here of this Piscean fucking age, and the dawning of the Aquarian age beginning. Okay, you know, people will say it began, the Aquarian age has begun and all this stuff. I don't think so. I think we've been in this in-between state of like, yeah, it's approaching, Aquarian age is approaching, but the Piscean age isn't quite officially done yet. It's like they're both holding the baton right now in a leeway race, okay? And the Piscean hand hasn't fully let go of the baton for the Aquarian age to now run with it, okay? So I don't think we've actually been in it, but I think a year like this year is the official closing of this Piscean age. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, with Pisces being the 12th sign, the last sign of endings, of cycles endings, and associated with karma, and Pisces is all about the experiencing of the culmination of karma, coming to repeat in certain ways in order to change dynamics of what we've already experienced in the past. And that's what we are going through as a society, as a global society, with humanity, with all of the different things humanity has experienced. All of our ancestors have a story to tell. All of us come from an ancestor that has experienced levels of persecution, rape, killing, imprisonment, suffering, sacrificing, being displaced, torment, war. We all carry these things within our blood, within our spirit, that we've inherited. Okay, inheriting the land, the sins of our father, the wounds of our mother, all those things. And with the activation of these memories, it intensifies everything that we are witnessing right now in our modern world, because we've felt it before. We've been here before. We've seen this before in different eras and different points of times and for different fights. All right, and we could even say that it even triggers memories of ancient Atlantis and the time of ancient Atlantis coming into ruin as well, right? So it can trigger fear right now, and confusion as well. And one of the beautiful gifts that what this Pisces energy teaches us is the gift of surrendering, okay? Of surrendering to the divine plan, to the supernatural, and believing in that, believing in God, believing in the light, believing in the divine powers and in the master plan, and assisting that with your own energy, your own intentions, in praying and in practicing to assist these energies in working and in fulfilling the prophecies, the wishes, the dreams, our intentions here. And so the keys that Pisces teaches us is surrender, forgiveness, and unconditional love. Okay, so we've got to surrender to the divine plan that's happening. We have to surrender to the fact that we don't know all that is really going on right now. No matter how many hours of research, no matter who we talk to, no matter who we listen to, at the end of the day, there is so much we don't know, and we have to surrender to that, because with the South Node in Virgo right now, part of the memories triggered right now is the fact that life and death is on the line. When the South Node is in Virgo, we're experiencing memories where everything was on the line, and it was super important to pay attention to everything, or else it will lead to total failure. And so with the South Node in Virgo right now, it's going to trigger an intense level of anxiety for people, of feeling that if things aren't going by my plan, or if it's not looking like it's going along with this standard, then I'm failing. So we got to surrender that the world is fucking crazy right now. There's all kinds of shifts, and that no matter how things are looking right now, God's got us. God's got us. Our ancestors got us. We are divinely protected at this time. okay? And unconditional love, we need to practice that for ourselves, for our neighbors, for our brothers and sisters, because people are deeply wounded right now, extremely wounded. And as much as I like to fucking call someone a dumbass and question their IQ levels and just not really take anybody serious, knowing right off the bat where they're at and how fucking programmed they are, is it their fault? I don't know. They're wounded by the agenda. We've all been wounded by the agenda. And so who's the bigger person if I'm not walking a path of Christ consciousness? Would a Christ awakened conscious person, really, have malice towards, my neighbors, my fellow brothers and sisters out here walking this path? Because who is really the enemy here, right? The enemy is not between flesh and blood. It's against invisible forces operating in high and unseen places through principalities and moral behavior, okay? So this is what we're dealing with, and this is what we're seeing. People who are just lost, okay? These people who are lost, they've been taken by the agenda. They've been taken by the AI, the frequencies, the invisible forces that are operating and have corrupted their perception, have corrupted their beliefs, have inverted and perverted everything, okay? So we have to understand that these people need love. But how do we practice that? Doesn't mean like let's go and save the homeless, or let's just love people and not and choose not to fucking conceal carry or anything like that. I mean, we got to look out for ourselves, and people are unwell, and people are not right. Okay, so if someone's coming at your children, whatever, fucking defend yourself, protect yourself, obviously. But at the end of the day, your heart shouldn't be in hatred. Your heart should not be in hatred. Your words should not be in hatred. They should be in love, and in prayer for these people who are suffering. And you must forgive yourself, and you must forgive them, because they've been taken by a great evil, a great evil that has been operating for hundreds of years. And in this time right now, it is at its highest intensity that I don't know, since Atlantis, I guess. I'm not sure, but because this is black magic. This is sorcery that is infused with technology and pharmaceuticals, and in the food, and all of the things that they're doing with the frequencies and the rituals and the summonings and the spell casting. This is operating on such a massive fucking scale that we are dealing with. And so we must forgive ourselves for what we have to do in this world, in this time right now. Forgive ourselves for our judgments and that sort of thing. So this is what Pisces energy teaches us. And in that process, if we're able to utilize those keys of surrendering, unconditional love, and forgiveness, then what happens is we get to access the true sensation and experience of what it means to be Christly, what it means to be a bodhisattva, what it means to walk a path in unity consciousness, and being activated in that way. We get to experience that, and we get to transcend our consciousness into a higher dimension, into a higher awareness. And that is one of the biggest parts of the game right now. And part of the whole intention of Neptune being in Pisces is to accelerate spiritual experiences. 2012 was the kickoff of critical mass increasing day by day, year by year, becoming more aware of spiritual practices. Right now, we've never seen this before. We've never seen so many fucking ayahuasca plant retreats being developed. We've never seen so many fucking channelers and Gaia TV network conventions and light language channelers and tarot readers online. All this sort of, we've never seen it before. It has never been. Spirituality has not ever been trending so much before. We can call it New Age, the occult, esoteric, whatever. All this, it has not been like this before until Neptune started going into Aries, okay? Pisces in 2012. All right. So what Neptune in Pisces has done is it's turned the dial slowly over the last 14 years of people having more and more real supernatural experiences. Now, what does that look like? What does that mean? It means like having a dream and that dream then coming into reality, being a prophecy in some type of way. An experience of driving down the road and having a thought and then looking to your right and seeing, the bumper sticker or license plates that either say the same word or same image of your exact thoughts. You're driving and you're thinking about fucking purple butterflies and a sunset, and you're just like, yeah, I just love purple butterflies and a sunset. And then you look to your right and then boom, there's a fucking car with a sticker with purple butterflies and a sunset, right? And you look to your left and then what do you see? You see, the number is 444, and then you see what time it is and it's 11:11. Like, it's having all these synchronicities, and the intention behind all of us having these synchronicities is to gradually become aware and understand and develop the neural pathways to understand our points in time, space, reality, and our minds and our beliefs, and how we are always in the same right place at the right time and are creators of our reality and all those sorts of. It's been meant to train us and teach us, and along that path and training and teaching, we've also had to fall, which means we've also had to become aware of our fantasies and our delusions and become aware of our beliefs and how we are also creating our suffering at the same time. So this Neptune and Pisces transit has been teaching us intensely for years and years and years and years up until this point. And now that we are moving forward in this Neptune and Aries energy, okay, with Saturn in Aries, with Pluto in Aquarius, and Uranus in Gemini, this is it. This is it. This is such an important time for all of us right now, despite all of the craziness going on. And the reason why is because creative energies, higher advanced creative energies are available right now and want to come through us for us to create, okay? And that's our way. So one of the things that life has taught me when it comes to trying to make a change, to do something, and the best way to change things is to create something. Like, for example, I don't have the best relationship with my family. We've gone through a lot of trauma together. My mother passed away. My father, we have issues. We go back and forth and being cool with each other or not being cool with each other. There's a lot of things that haven't been worked out, and like, so I've gone through a lot of hard experiences being with my family and connecting with my family. And I used to feel really bad about that, and used to feel guilt in like, how can I make up for the damage that I've done, the damage that they've done? How can we make up for it? And the thing that always concludes is create something that then fills in love, that then fills in opportunities for connection, opportunities for resolution. Create a game, create a tradition, create something that can bring us together. So we need to be creating right now. We need to be thinking of ways to create and not be focusing so much of all of the bad. It's important for us to be aware, right? We need to be aware so we can plan accordingly and stay on our toes, so that way we know if it's time to jump, then it's time to jump. But we don't want to be completely in that vibration where it is all we are thinking, it is all we are seeing, and it paralyzes us. It numbs our ability to create new, because we're stuck in the fear matter. We're stuck in this overwhelmed, traumatized matter. So we have to work to be in the gray matter, in the cerebral frontal cortex. We have to learn to manage our stress. We have to learn to control our thoughts and be in alignment with God, be in alignment with the truth, with our abilities, and create using our magic by what is given to us right now. Okay. So this is what's really was really important to do. And the last year and the year before, something that I kept saying when the North Node was transiting Aries, and we went through these Aries eclipses last year, is that this was back then was just setting the stage. It was just paving the path to initiate the warriors. And with Neptune and Saturn go into Aries, warriors activated. All right, Neptune and Saturn are going to conjunct and travel into Aries together within a conjunction. And Saturn Neptune conjunctions don't happen very often. They happen every 30 years or so. All right, and when a Saturn and Neptune come together, it's really powerful because we have Neptune, the planet of imagination, the planet of multi dimensions of spirituality, of Christ consciousness, but also suffering. And these are Neptune is very imaginative. Neptune does not have any fucking limitations. It is just whatever you want to create, whatever you want to imagine, whatever you want to believe. And Saturn is the complete fucking opposite of Neptune. Saturn is reality, rules, structure, discipline, systems, organizations, authority. And so when we go through Neptune-Saturn conjunctions, it's very, very, very powerful because we have the energy of our imaginations activated to imagine all the possibilities that is available to us. And then we have the discipline of Saturn to tell us you've imagined it, you can see it, it's in alignment with your beliefs, it is feasible for you to achieve. Do it. What is it going to require of you to do it? Where in yourself do you need to develop and become a better, more responsible person to do it? And so this means actually having to apply yourself and actually having to work and criticize yourself, and so you can develop and become the person that you know you can be in a structured way to achieve very magnificent things. So this is the energy that we all have available to us. And with Pluto and Aquarius, this is allowing us to access genius flow, and to download galactic memories, to download connections to our star families. And with Uranus and Gemini, I'm gonna have to end it now, but this has been very fun. I intend to make more content like this. This video was all about Neptune, and there was a lot that I needed to get out there, and there's still more that I need to say about this. I can go on and on and on for days, but with that being said, that is it. Thank you.